March is the month when the year really gets going. Right from the very start on the 3rd, we have a new moon in Cancer's 9th house. This is the place of spirituality, wisdom and higher knowledge. With that in mind, this month is inviting you to seek wisdom over anything else. Since this is also the place that deals with travel, there's even a chance some Cancers will be pursuing that knowledge someplace else, far away from where you call home. If there are no plans for a trip on site, this could very well be a mental journey through the depths of your psyche. This is especially true when we consider that Jupiter, the planet of grandiosity and faith, is the moon's ruler. With that in mind, don't be afraid to go big this month. Shortly after the new moon, we have a conjunction between the Sun and Jupiter happening in that same house. March, being Piscean season, will get the Sun blending energies with both planets associated with Cancer's fellow water sign. This transit is all about inspiration. Some of you might even explore ideas of surrealism to get lost in your emotions and express them outwardly in quite an innovative fashion. These transits are especially good for the Cancers who have a knack for the occult and spirituality, and if you're into manifestation spells, that could be the time to put your witchy side to work. Following the conjunction, we have a couple of planets changing signs. Mercury is also joining your 9th house, helping you express these more abstract emotions in a palatable and comprehensive way to those around you. After all, having a spiritual experience is much better when we can actually describe what it felt like. Though, the big ingress here is that of Venus and Mars entering your 8th house. This ingress can have a similar feeling to events that unfolded in February of last year when Venus and Saturn, who continue to move through your 8th house slowly but surely, joined forces to manifest collaborations and shared resources. The big difference between this March and last February is that Mars hasn't been in this house for quite a while. This could mean that you end up working on similar projects you had to rely on grants or other people's efforts to accomplish, though this time around, there will be a greater sense of urgency. Mars entering this house can be a little challenging for the Cancers born during the day, but the tension can also be a great source of motivation for you to stop procrastinating. On the 18th, we have the full moon of the month happening in your 3rd house. Similar to the new moon, this lunation can have a slight tinge of spirituality associated with it. Traditionally, the 3rd house deals with daily rituals or any routinely practices. At around this time, you could really start to internalize the more profound discoveries from earlier in the month. Though, Mercury, this lunation's ruler, will be in opposition to the moon at this time. This can create some tension between integration and cling to the more ethereal aspects of the month. You'll need to achieve balance to bring these ideas down to earth and make acting on them as practical as possible. Conversely, the 3rd house also deals with communication and publishing. If any of you are writers or speakers, this could be a time you feel a bigger push to complete a bigger project. This March, procrastination is highly discouraged. This is even more certain when you realize that on the 20th, the Sun will be going into your 10th house of career. Cancer's 10th house is where the Sun is exalted, and it plays heavily on themes of visibility and eminence. When all eyes are on you, laziness comes with much higher consequences. The month comes to a close with a few conjunctions. The first one happens on the same day the Sun changes signs, which could be pretty significant. Continuing with the themes of philosophy and wisdom of your 9th house, you have Jupiter and Mercury conjoining. This transit is highly intellectual and of the mind. Knowing that you may be a little prone to overthink, but if you use those energies right, you'll have the poetic eloquence to impress anyone in your field, especially since, as we discussed, the Sun will be casting his rays down on you quite strongly. The second conjunction happens in your 8th house, which can point at some more positive career opportunities. We have Saturn and Venus joining forces to establish a solid foundation to share projects and collaborations. At around the 28th, you may find a good company with female figures in your field who are much more experienced than you are. Don't be afraid to learn from them, and get to work. March is a busy month, so get ready.